And hello, welcome to Lifestyle Magazine. We got a great show today, don't we?
We do.
Well, let me start you off with a story, and it's kind of a true story. When I was a young kid, I used to love watching Westerns. And I watched on this one Western movie where some soldier got shot by an arrow. But faithful, wise Indian scout said, "Please don't move, I take it out." "No!" Said, "Take stick, bite on this." He pulled the arrow out, and then he took some dirt from the ground and spit on it and made a poultice and crushed some leaves and put it on his side, wrapped it up, and the guy was healed. In the next reel, he was riding again. So a little later on, I'm walking through like the bushes there, and I scratched my leg really bad, and I thought, this is going to be okay. I touched some dirt from the ground, I spit on it, slapped it on my leg, wrapped it up for 2 days. I'm good Indian. 2 days later, my mama said, "What's that on your leg?" I took it off. I had a green pus-ridden infection. Took me over 2 hills to hospital for a good injection of antibiotic.
Well, it would have worked, Clifton, if you hadn't spit in it. What'd you spit in it for?
That was probably
That was the problem. No,
Wives' tales,
I didn't do dumb things like that.
You didn't?
No. But when I was pregnant, I heard a bunch of stuff. I heard that if you tied a penny to a string and you held it over your tummy, that if it went clockwise, you had a boy, and if it went counter-clockwise, it was a girl.
If it jumped up and down, you had a monkey. Did it work?
No, it didn't work.
What you see? I mean, and you hear stories
but
like that.
I didn't get an infection, at least with what I did.
Well, thank goodness for
yes,
that.
That's true.
But you hear all kind of stories going up about old wives' tales. I mean, I heard one that if you ate poison ivy or poison oak, you could develop an immunity to it. You know. So I took some of my friends into the woods and said, "Hey, that's not poison ivy." I rubbed it all over myself, said, "See, nothing." They all broke out, "I have a natural immunity to it." So that was a cruel trick to play.
Yes, that was mean.
But sometimes there's a lot of truth in old wives' tales, and it takes hundreds of years for doctors to figure out why they work. But the fact is, they do. Other times, the advice can be very dangerous and even fatal.
So, does antiperspirant cause breast cancer? Is there really asbestos in tampons? Does an apple a day really keep your doctor away? We'll find out the answers to these questions in a couple of minutes.
But first, we're going to meet with our friend, our good friend, Patty Cabrera. Come on out, Patty.
How are you guys?
Terrific. Good. I know we're going to be better after we get your health report.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about aching knees, and most of us here know what that's like. Sometimes we get a sharp pain or a tingling or even a numbness, which is the first thing to know. You really should see a doctor. We try to be tough, but it's really important to go see a doctor. And women specifically, because our hips are set further apart, we hit our knees at a different angle, and it's not quite as it looks good, but it's not quite as healthy for the knees. But if you have pain, you should see a doctor. A couple of reasons that are typical reasons for the pain is arthritis, and sometimes simply just weak muscles. There's studies that are showing that arthritis often is the result of an allergy to a certain type of food, or maybe something like a food additive, and it affects our knees, and we don't think of it that way.
So what you eat makes your knees hurt, not
sometimes
just your
what you eat
hurt,
makes your knees hurt. Exactly. The other thing is the weak muscles. It's important that maybe once the doctor sort of gives the okay, you can start exercising again, start moving around, that you see a certified personal trainer, and they can help you with some of the exercises to strengthen your legs.
I've recently gotten a personal trainer and developing my legs, but he makes me do front and back and both sides.
Extremely important, because we sometimes often focus so much on the quads, and if they become stronger than the hamstring, then you've got an unequal pressure going to your knee, and so it's really important, and it hurts your knees. A couple of things, really simple things that can help remedy a knee pain issue. Ladies, the heels. If you have heels that are over 2 inches, it's really not healthy for our knees, so we might have to rethink the wardrobe. I know that's tough. I'm kind of a hypocrite sometimes, but and the other thing is issue of weight. If you're overweight, it's just simply not healthy for your knees. It puts a lot of added pressure, and it's something we can do to make a difference. We can change it and help ourselves.
Valuable information. Thank you, Patty Cabrera, everybody.
Bye.
Consider how many things have been touted as safe or good for you and later said to be dangerous. Milk, eggs, red dye number 2. Seems everything causes cancer in the right quantities.
But today we have with us Elizabeth Bloom, an expert in holistic medicine, who's run a clinic in England for 12 years that was featured on the BBC. She's going to help us analyze some popular health myths to see if there is any merit in them at all, and perhaps how they even got started. So welcome, won't you, Elizabeth? Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So this apple a day, that's probably the oldest, isn't it? I don't know. But the apple a day, does it work?
Well, it works if you want the doctor to come or stay away.
It works either way.
Depends
in other
on if
words, it
you've got
doesn't work.
If you don't use it, it doesn't work.
How about what I heard as a kid? Now, I really did hear that if you eat poison ivy or poison oak, you can develop an immunity to it.
Did
it's
you try?
that ridiculous that it makes you break out in laughter.
I hope you're not that naive.
I was at 11. No, I was.
Didn't do it.
I was
Okay.
naturally immune
Well, you did
to
that
it.
mud thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
I
rubbed
heard
the
about
stuff
that.
on me. I never broke out. All my friends
Well,
did.
the poison ivy thing can be a little fatal, depending on your own constitution. But there's a homeopathic remedy called Rus Tox that should be in every person's first aid kit at home. And if you happen to run through a field of poison oak or poison ivy, you can take the Rus Tox. It's a natural antidote. Everybody has a folk tale, an old wives' remedy. You know, when you're ill, you want to give the body the most time that it can take to heal naturally. So good, nutritious food is always better than, you know, popping something in the microwave. You know, you let the body have a fasting area of time to recuperate, because it will heal itself more often than not. And a lot of the complementary and alternative practices are not a lot, but many of them are based on commonsensical principles. So when you've got a body that's breaking down into common viruses and bacteria and moving on into even life-threatening illnesses, you have to go back to the basics and look at the detoxification of the body in order to allow the immune system to heal and support you.
Now, when you say detoxification, what exactly do you mean? I mean, is it a natural thing that we do without augmenting it, without some kind of, I don't know, drinking thousands of juices, gallons of juice?
There are many things that you can do. I mean, we do evacuate on a regular. We have 5 eliminatory organs in our body. We women, men have 1 less. But you do need to keep the body. It's your temple. You need to keep it clean and healthy. And we put a lot of junk into it, consciously and unconsciously. So there's many things that we are ingesting continuously that are putting stress on our body. And yes, you cleanse the colon, you cleanse the liver, you cleanse the lungs. You even need to cleanse the brain transmitters.
What?
Wow.
What?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Oh,
talk about it later.
That's
That's
great.
good.
When we come back, we're going to meet with an MD who's going to help us make sense of those forwarded emails that we all constantly get, filled with health rumors and anonymous medical legends. We'll be right back.
This is Hello Channel.
Well, joining us now is Julia Hunter, a holistic health specialist who's going to review medical and nutritional myths and legends perpetuated on the internet. Please welcome Julia, huh? Now, how's all this, what we call net lore or internet medical myths, how do they all kind of happen?
Well, people love to talk about things, don't you think? And I think that people tell people things that are not necessarily truths. They may have some moment of truth in them, but myths get perpetuated. Misinformation gets perpetuated that way.
And on the internet, it's so easy because all your friends are on one list.
Now, you particularly have to deal with this in the field of holistic medicines. Do you find it's difficult to weed out, pun intended, weed out the good stuff
She's not impressed.
from the bad? I mean, the stuff that really works.
The good, the bad, and the
Yeah,
ugly.
from the crabgrass.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, let's get into what a couple of them are to get to the meat of the matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite is about underarm deodorant.
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
breast cancer.
Yes.
Now, it's funny that this has been perpetuated recently because I, for one, have always believed that it is common sense, and common sense tells you, and then if you add a little medical knowledge on top of it, underneath the arms are a huge number of lymph nodes. Those lymph nodes drain the woman's breast. And what antiperspirants do, and if you read on the side of the bottle, what they do is they get into the sweat glands that are underneath your arm that sit on top of the lymph nodes. And basically they get in there and they block the sweat glands. And there is a growing body of evidence that in fact there may be significant merit to that.
Why can't you just like sweat out somewhere else? And not sweat there.
Well, there are also alternatives to those antiperspirants. A lot of people have seen the rock crystals.
Well, don't they just stop the perspiration too?
You said rock crystals, and y'all started talking like y'all old girlfriends just had a cup of tea this morning, and you know all about rock crystals. I don't know nothing about no rock crystals. You're gonna have to tell
Have you been going to the grocery store and shopping recently?
What do you do? No. Seriously, rock crystals, how do they work? What do they do?
What happens when you perspire is, and people don't like to perspire, but most importantly, they don't like to have body odor.
Yeah.
And body odor is caused by the bacteria that naturally lives on our skin. What the rock crystals do is it binds the sweat, it keeps the bacteria
level
it neutralizes
down.
it.
Exactly.
So what you're telling me
Sweetens
though,
up your bacteria.
yeah,
It
but you're still
sweetens your
going to be
bacteria.
sweaty. But you're still going to, there's no way to get away from that
If you're
sweaty
sweating,
thing.
there's a reason your body's sweating.
I'm hot.
Yeah. And you need to cool the body off. So you may have water imbalances. You need to go back
Well,
and
I may
begin
have to pick certain days then.
Right.
Wear an
You can also-
antiperspirant.
Yeah, but no, you can also use essential oils for this. You
Exactly.
know, lavender, there are many essential oils that are natural
Yes.
bacterial.
I have another girl question.
I got
Sorry.
one too.
A girl question?
Yeah.
Okay, go
Good,
ahead.
let's
Maybe
hear
it's
it.
the same one.
I mean, it's not, I can't really relate to it, but I heard something about asbestos in tampons.
Yes.
That's definitely a girl question.
Well, again, to answer that question, let's go back to common sense. If you just read the label, most tampons, it will tell you are 100% cotton. Well, cotton does not have asbestos in it.
So it's a myth.
I would
That's good.
strongly
Because if you're going to
say
take
that it
away
was a
my
myth.
antiperspirant, I
However-
don't want you ruining my tampons.
But now there is something that we would like to bring up about tampons, and that is the cotton has been bleached with dioxins.
So there are
And-
chemicals in those tampons.
And are they dangerous?
Well, let me ask you.
Theoretically.
Yes, let me ask you another question.
Yes.
Do you like taking chemicals in your food?
No.
Well, in your mouth is a mucous membrane, correct? Where the tampons are going is also a mucous membrane.
So you absorb them.
You absorb them extremely quickly.
Oh, you guys are just full of good news.
I know, we're just a barrel of lies.
What else?
But there's an alternative.
Oh, don't you tell me.
No,
Yes.
the alternative, there's several alternatives as a matter of fact. Number one,
A hysterectomy.
you
No,
can
no,
now
no.
find in the stores organic, unbleached tampons.
Okay, so that is available.
And those are available
Yep. All right.
everywhere. And if they aren't, you ask your grocer for them because
They're
they
there.
can procure them for you.
Okay.
And the other thing
And-
that I've been turning women onto for 20 years are natural sea sponges. You soak them in apple cider vinegar and then in hot water, and you cut them to fit your size, and you insert them just like you would a tampon. And
What about one more before we break away? Tell us one of the wild ones, one of the wild wives' tales that you've heard.
Picking the wildest is hard.
All
We're
right,
gonna
we'll
have to give
talk
them-
about
give
it
them a
during the
chance.
break.
Carrots
We'll talk
and
about it
eyesight.
during the break, and we'll be right back.
We learned English.
Your kids can too. Just watch Hello Channel.
We are talking today about old wives' tales and internet medical folklore with Julia Hunter and Elizabeth Bloom. All right. When we broke away, we talked about one of the wild ones, and I heard something about a Chihuahua and asthma.
Yes. If your mother buys you a Chihuahua as a kid, your asthma will just disappear. You know?
Any truth in it?
Of course not.
Well, I don't know.
What about this? If you open a can, you should always take your food out of the cans. Don't put it in the refrigerator in the can. Is this just by people who sell containers?
Well, that originated when there was more lead and botulism.
Yeah.
And more orthodox would say it's not true, but I would say it's true because most of the cans are made from aluminum. And aluminum will help to perpetuate aluminum poisoning in the system. So especially for Alzheimer's, and we don't need to have excessive aluminum in our bodies.
So you still think it may be true?
You definitely get that food out of a can. And why are we eating out of cans anyway when there's fresh food around altogether? Period. End of story.
Aluminum
and
Alzheimer's disease. Is that a myth that has veracity?
There's a biochemical correlation that even orthodox medicine is coming up with heavy metal and toxic poisoning. And we need to, be very conscious as consumers what we're taking into our systems these days and how we're cleansing. I mean, we go to the dentist and we clean our teeth and we take our car in and the oil is changed and we're servicing everything. But why are we not servicing our brain?
I don't know if this is a wild tale or holistic medicine. Have you ever heard of chelation therapy?
Sure.
You have?
Yes.
Is that a good thing?
Very good.
I am a great proponent of chelation therapy.
What is chelation therapy?
Well, there are different sorts. The IV chelation therapy is an intravenous therapy with a small needle. And what it does is there's a chemical agent, EDTA, which basically grabs the plaque that lines the blood vessels and thereby causes, you don't have the problems that cause you to have high blood pressure.
So you can clean your blood vessels like you're talking about cleaning your colon and cleaning your teeth and cleaning your liver. There's a way to do that.
Yeah. And you can clean that brain through the neurotransmitters with essential oils.
All right, we mentioned that earlier, talking about the neurotransmitters in the brain and how you could clean those off. Now, Elizabeth Bloom's going to tell us about it.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Essential oils, known in this country as aromatherapy, which is now, across the board everywhere you look. It's a candle here and a diffuser there. But essential oils are the oldest medicine known to man. They predate Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, etc., homeopathy, everything. So there are different essential oils, and I won't list them all, that are antibacterial and antiviral, and they literally cross the blood-brain barrier and go in and clean the neurotransmitters.
Well, what do you do with them?
The best is rubbing it on your skin or taking internally.
So what you're telling me is that when I go and spend that money and get that aromatherapy massage, it was a...
No.
Not necessarily.
Oh,
you have to make
I
sure.
had a good excuse.
Yeah.
You on a roll there too, Tam. Look like you could justify the expense.
Well, you
Your
can.
husband's not going to buy it anymore.
You can justify that expense, but you have to make sure that the oils that you're using are medicinal grade quality. Exactly. And
How do you make sure of that?
Well, there's an ISO, a stamp, the International Standards Organization, that's based on the French organization, which are the primo manufacturers of this. And if those two initials are on your bottle, then it's safe to use it for medicinal purposes.
What are the initials?
ISO, and I can't remember the other one. It's like 5 initials.
Now, how do you know which oils are for what thing? Is there a place to find this out?
Well, it's a 6-year study. It's like a medicinal study.
But there are reference books.
Yeah,
that
there are
you
many
can...
reference books.
Hey, what about a guy who
And
just
you
wants
come
a
to
background?
practitioners like us.
I really didn't want to study all the bottles
background's
in the room. I just a little pinch right here.
Well, if you've got a little pinch here, you could take birch oil and rub it on, and it has the same effect as cortisone.
Eucalyptus oil for colds, does that?
Yes.
Put it on your chest?
There are 5 different types of essences of eucalyptus, so you have to figure out which one for what type of infection. Okay. I mean, it's a deep science, but there are some real first aid kits. There's some very basics that you can adhere to that cover a lot of different symptoms.
Well, I found that more and more people are finding that they're trying to choose those alternative medicines, those alternative treatments that will avoid too many chemicals in the body. And so natural, homeopathic, and natural medicines are the way to go. And these essential oils sound great. Hey, we got to break away. We'll be right back. Julia, Elizabeth, Holistic Medicine, stick around.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Well, we are back, and we've been talking with Elizabeth Bloom, Julia Hunter, two experts on holistic medicine, and we're going to ask for some final thoughts in this last little minute we have. Julia?
Well, the first thing that I want to tell everybody is, number one, think for yourself. Common sense tells you that there's a step that is true prevention that keeps you from having the disease. Now, that requires some homework on your own, some reading, studying different sources. Read the labels, read for yourself, and find a good practitioner that you can trust and you feel comfortable with, who makes sense to you.
How about you, Elizabeth?
I second that wholeheartedly. You need to find someone who's willing to educate you, not just treat you, because it's a 50-50 responsibility. You must take responsibility for your own health and well-being and those that you're responsible
That
for.
word keeps coming up.
Absolutely. Personal
This
responsibility.
responsibility thing.
So thank you so much for being with us. Let's thank them. And don't forget, if you have some old wives' tales that you'd like to post on our website, we'd welcome them. Perhaps we can talk about them on a later show. www.lifestyle.org. I'm Clifton Davis.
And I'm Tammy McGrew.
Have a great day. God bless.